Despite news of American forces' imminent pullout from northern Syria, the U.S.-led coalition conducts airstrikes on the crisis-hit country, targeting homes and civilians. The latest attack happened yesterday when fighter jets raided two villages in Syria's Deir countryside. The Syrian Foreign Ministry has urged UN Secretary General and Security Council to take action to stop the attacks and massacres and what it calls the systematic destruction of infrastructure in the country. It also criticizes the U.S.-led coalition for paving the way for the survival and expansion of Daesh instead of uprooting it. Now, what's Washington's real agenda in Syria? Will the UN or any other world body be able to put a halt to attacks against the country? What's best for Damascus to do? For details on the story, let's go to our correspondent in Damascus, Mohammed Ali. Mohammed, good to have you with us. Walk us through about the latest situation there in Syria.
Yes, the situation is as it is. The U.S.-led coalition continues to attack every couple of days the countryside of Deir, the southeastern countryside. Many villages there have been suffering from the attacks of the U.S.-led coalition. Almost every couple of days there is a U.S.-led coalition airstrike targeting whether Al-Shafi, Al-Kishki or Hajin or the surrounding villages, killing more and more civilians. On Friday, of course, there was an attack by the U.S.-led coalition that killed 10 civilians, among them 4 children in Al-Kishkiya village. It came just 24 hours following a similar one on Al-Shafi that also killed 11 civilians. The Syrian Foreign Ministry sent again letters to the United Nations Secretary General and Security Council saying that the massacres perpetrated by the U.S.-led coalition, the destruction also caused by such attacks, in addition to the U.S.-led coalition's disregard of the UN Charter and the United Nations Security Council, all require what Syria has been demanding via tens of letters to the United Nations, which is confronting such disregard by the U.S.-led coalition to the UN Charter, Security Council, also international law and the agreements, the Geneva agreements on the protection of civilians in times of war. Also, the Foreign Ministry said in the letters that the attacks by the U.S.-led coalition expose and unmask the lies of the coalition, the U.S.-led coalition's member states that are not targeting Daesh, but instead deliberately attacking residential areas packed with civilians. But the most important part of this letter of the Syrian Foreign Ministry is that the Foreign Ministry asked and the UN Security Council to take direct and serious action in order to stop such massacres and also systematic destruction of Syria's infrastructure. And finally, the Syrian Foreign Ministry reiterated what it has been always calling for, which is creating an international, independent and neutral mechanism to investigate into such crimes and also condemn and at the end of the day punish its perpetrators. But so far, despite all of those calls by the Foreign Ministry, previous calls in tens of letters, we haven't seen any action taken by the UN Security Council.
All right. Thank you for the update. Mohammed Ali, our correspondent, who joined us from the Syrian capital city of Damascus.